So I've switched on the machine and the machine brings me straight to this menu. I've got the sewing, the embroidery and the embroidery edit contents in this machine, and I can go into either of those three functions. Now obviously we're going to use the embroidery unit, so it's not the sewing and the embroidery edit. Now because the embroidery only moves the designs and you can do simple little things, I don't want to just do the embroidery, I actually want to go into the embroidery edit. So let's click on that and let's go into that function there. And you'll know it's the embroidery edit because all the little screens are yellow. So I chose a lovely design from the borders, Christmas designs from here. So that's the first one we've chosen. And I'll scroll down until I get to the design that I want. And there we go. So it's this one here. And I'm going to zoom you in so you can see a little bit more what I'm doing. Choose this embroidery piece here. I'm going to press set, and set means it's ready and placed in my embroidery hoop page. So if I move that and position it there into the bottom corner, or I can use the arrows to position it. Now I don't want to go all the way down because what I want to do is have a row of the embroidery design there as well. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit. Now I need to just clone that or make copies of it. So I will go into the border section there because I want to turn this into a border. And then I've got all these different cubes, and all these different cubes represent different things, functions that the machine will do for me. So these are going to add vertically, and these are going to add the design horizontally. So I'm going to add it vertically and I'm going to go up the screen. So let's add one above and go again, and I think we'll do one more. Now I've got some space there, so I can move that around. We'll shift everything around when we get to the actual embroidery section. I'll show you how to do that. Now that's great, so I've got one side done. I can't really fit another one on there, but I want to go along here now and fit 3 of those in. So if I close that, and I will add that same design, keep going down. I'll go along there and I will rotate that. So we'll set that first. And what we're going to do is rotate that design. Now on there, you can't really see, there are angels on there, and those angels are going this way up on that design. So I want to make sure that when it goes along the placemat, now you've got to remember the placemat is going to be long ways that way. So I want the design of the angels to be floating upwards. So I've got to turn, so it's facing that way at the moment, I want to turn them going that way. So I want to rotate the design 90 degrees that way. Okay, so watch when you do that, make sure you go the right way. I want to have 3 of those fit in there. Now I've got to make sure that they do actually touch as close as possible, so I can go into the hoop and see how close they are. And I can see that they're not actually quite touching, so I'll move them a bit closer. I can do that with that, go back to the hoop, and I can see I've gone too far. Let's move them over a little bit, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. And then back to the hoop. And I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so we want to clone that going across. Let's go back to the borders, and we want to go vertically this time, and we're going to add one to the right. And there we go, we've added another one. Now we can't quite get another one there, so what I'm going to do is I'll delete that one, and I'm going to make that smaller. So even though I make it smaller, I'm not going to make it too small that it will be noticeable, and I don't think I remember I've noticed how much smaller the designs are, and they are smaller going across. So just be wary of that. If you do change the size, stitch it out first and see if you can notice the design difference. So if I move that back to where I want it to join my first column of angels, go back into the hoop and see how close they are, and they look pretty good there. So we'll close that and we'll clone that 2 more times. So we'll close that, go back to the borders, and we're going to add this horizontally and add 1 more and 1 more. There we go. How easy is that? Now I want to have that down here, but I'm going to mirror that image. So what I'm going to do is create another design going along the bottom, and I'll create one underneath there, and there we go. So I've created another row of angels. But if I move that now, they'll move together, watch. And that's no good. Let's move them back to where they were. Make sure I get that back to where I wanted it. 1 more. And what I'll do is I'll split the 2 columns, the rows. So I'll split those 2 rows. And the way to do it is, can you see these blocks where they've been cut? They've been split. So we want to split this section here. And it comes up with a cutting line there, but the knife isn't actually on there. So I'm going to cut that using the knife, and it's separated the 2 rows for me. So now I can drag that right down, position it where I want, and make sure that they're touching. Let's go back to the hoop. And can you see? Quite happy with that and the position. I might just move that one over a little bit. Let's move that one over a tiny bit more and just check, because I moved it before, didn't I? I think move it up 1 more, and let's view that again. And there we go. There we go. So now we want to clone this row along here. So that row, let's go back to the borders, and we want to clone our row, our column going across. So if we go that way, so we want to go across 1, we'll add 1 more, and there we go. We're back to the situation where those 2 are now in 1 red box, meaning that they are 1 design, but we want to split that design. So let's split our design, and we want to split it over here, and there's a knife. Can you see the knife? The knife has appeared this time. There wasn't any space before for us to see it there, but we can see it now. So there's a tiny little knife there telling us that's the cutting line. So let's cut it. Press the knife, and it's cut that border for me. I'll move that along there, and then I can just check on the hoop how it fits. Now that's really uncomfortably close there and a bit too far away there. Let's close that. And what I'm going to do is close that, and I'm going to mirror. So can you see? So what I'll do is I'm going to move everything over a little bit. Move that down and across. We'll sort this out in a minute, don't worry. Everything looks a bit squashed. Get those down and matching, almost there. Let's check the hoop. Great. That looks really good to me. I'm happy with that. Close that. I'll just move that over a tiny smidgen. 1 more last view, and I'm happy with that. So I've created my border for my placemat. So I'm happy with that. So let's close that. And then what we do now is if we select embroidery, what that's done is it's grouped everything together for me, and I've still got the opportunity to make sure it moves along. Can you see how everything moves together now? And then what I'll do now is I'll add that to memory. I'm going to add it to my my sewing machine, and it saves it in there. And now I can go back to the memory and, because I'm in the thing. And then what I can do is go back into the memory and select that design when I need it. And because I want to create 6 different placemats, I've added a twinkly star on this one, which means on the next one, I've got to create a new design. So if we return there, I'm going to add a little something in the corner. So if I follow down here again, so you can see all the Christmas designs were in the spring. So here we go. So there's the star that I had on the other one. I didn't follow the blue threads. I chose different colour threads. And this time I think I'll have a Christmas tree. It's a little bit on the big side, but I want it there. Set. And then I'll make it as small as it allows. So it's gone as small as it can go. Close that. I'm going to rotate it so that it sits in the top corner where my glass sits. I'm going to close that and I'll move it to the corner. And there we go. And that's my new placemat. So let's save that. Memory, machine, and then return. And if we go back to home, select that, we can go into embroidery. So see how all the screens are now blue, and go back into my memory and I can see what I've saved in there. And there it is. There's the Christmas border with the Christmas tree. If I select that, slowly come up, because there's quite a lot of designs on there. It takes a few seconds to load up on the machine. And there we go, all done.